Harlem debate.
AllThingsHarlem.com.
AllThingsHarlem.com. That can be part of that commercial. Want me to say it again?
Sure, go ahead.
AllThingsHarlem.com. And I'm sure we'll be able to see this on somebody's website or YouTube, because this is probably the most important race in the city of New York. It's a massive sea change. We have not had a district attorney. We've had the same district attorney, as Errol said, for the past 35 years. Lucy, how old are you? You're 34 years old, right, Lucy? Miss Nixon, you're about 33 years old, right? So you've only known one district attorney, Miss Nixon. Just one. Aziza Hurston, she might be about 35. I don't know, I'm sorry, about 35 years old, so.
Statistics show that 80% of the people stopped and frisk encounters with the police were minority. 80% of that number not given a summons or arrested. What can your office do to ensure that the police are adequately investigating criminal activity without using harassment or profiling techniques?
This has been a classic and enduring problem, and I can only hope that we can make a difference. And I want to suggest several things. Number one of the innovations that I plan is extensive training and a much more aggressive training of DAs. And one of the things will be on pretext stops, because I think a lot of stops and frisks are pretext stops and are racially discriminatory. So I think a lot of DAs really aren't sufficiently familiar with that, and we will train them on that. The second answer that I have, and that I've committed to for the last 4 years, is a far more diverse DA's office. And in order to get that, that means that we have to actively recruit, not just in each community, but for example, when I was Chief of Trials in the Special Anti-Corruption Office, I went to Howard University Law School. I went to a variety of law schools where it would be likely that we would find people of diversity who would want to come to the DA's office. I think the more diversity we can have, the less of a problem we will have.
What can your office do to ensure that the police are adequately investigating crime without resorting to harassment or profiling?
I think it is an alarming and disturbing statistic to understand that last year there were 500,000 people who were stopped and frisked, and 10 years ago it was roughly 1/5 that number. And most of the people who are subject to these searches are people of color. What I would do is, number one, make sure that my assistant DAs working in the office know that no case brought in by the police is going to be given anything other than a careful review. So we are going to treat the police officers and the cases they bring in with great care to make sure that the tone is set, that we only take on cases that are well brought to us and handled and where arrests are proper. The issue of policy is one that the DA needs to take up with the police commissioner. The commissioner needs to know that it is not good for the community, it is not good for our justice system to have hundreds of thousands of arrests occur, which result in only 100,000 stops occur, which result in only a tiny percentage of cases where actually arrests are made. That undermines confidence in the police, it undermines confidence in the criminal justice system, and if we lose that kind of confidence, that's where discord is sown between the communities that make up New York City and the police and the prosecutors that are there to serve them.
What would be your role in working on community relations?
Well, I don't want to repeat myself, but just to first make the point that I'll have DAs linked to each community, but they'll be actively involved in the partnership I described with community leaders, business leaders, educators, law enforcement, social service agencies, and we will move in to a school where there's a gang or a criminal problem, try to prevent it from actually leading to an arrest. And I've already described to you my experience with police corruption and police problems, and in fact, public corruption in general. I have had several years of extensive experience with it, being chief of trials in that office.
I think the district attorney's role is huge in fostering community relations. Ladies and gentlemen, when I talked about a community-based justice model, I believe the DA needs to be a neighbor. You need to know who your district attorney is and who the district attorneys who work for him or her are in their service of you. We need to be engaged community players, both in crime prevention and in enforcing the criminal laws to protect us. So, in response to your question, I want our DAs owning or being responsible for neighborhoods, and groupings of precincts, so that you will know who your assistant DAs are, who is running that division, and the community members and the community-based organizations can express their concerns and have them heard real time, rather than having it wait months and months and months for an issue to surface. So the DAs will be in the community, and they will be actively involved, and you will know who they are, and there will be an interaction between you and them.
Our local elections are the most important elections because that's what impacts upon our daily lives. And so this year is a very important year for elections. We must get out to vote. We must come out.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much.